Well, I thought I'd take the time and on this part of the message and talk about blessings because we've talked about life and death being in the power of the tongue, and he who loves it shall eat the fruit thereof. And I've also mentioned to you that, of course, what you speak. Uh, you bless people. The Bible says we bless people, we curse people with the same tongue, and these things ought not to be so. Now, the concept of blessing is something that maybe sometimes we overlook, as I mentioned in the earlier post, that in our daily passing, we sometimes just say, you know what, I bless you. Well, I want you to think about something here. I want you to see something in the Word extremely powerful for all of us, something that can change the concept of how we see the Word, how we utilize the Word, and how we can expect to see the things that we know in our heart that God has placed here, to see these things come to pass. Now, over in Genesis, around the 27th chapter, we see the story of Jacob and Esau. And it's a famous story, you know. Jacob obtained the blessing that belonged to Esau. But the story is a little deeper than that. If you look at this story, you're going to see something with blessing that's absolutely astounding. Because in the story, Isaac, who is the father of Jacob and Esau, speaks a blessing into the life of Jacob, who is the younger of the two. The blessing ought to have gone to Esau, but of course we know the story. Esau had been hoodwinked, so to speak, and had given up his blessing. Well, Isaac spoke this blessing into place, and several things happened. Jacob was excited about this blessing, which was very specific. It wasn't just a general blessing, God bless you. It was a blessing of the produce of the land would be for him. That wine would be provided to him, that in abundance. That also that he would be a person of authority and power, with even his brothers bowing down to him. This was spoken into existence. It had not been manifested yet. It wouldn't. In fact, it wouldn't be manifested for years in the future. And yet, everybody in the story, every participant of the story, knew that certain things had taken place. The mom was satisfied that her shenanigans in facilitating the transfer of the blessing from Esau to Jacob had occurred. Jacob himself was ecstatic that he had received such a wonderful blessing, and that these were things of substance that he knew would come forth into his life. Esau was devastated. He was upset that what should have come to him was now going to another. And Isaac, who had blessed, was a little bit, I would say, he was resigned to the fact. Not certain disappointed, but he was certainly resigned to the fact that what he had spoken into existence in that moment, that would manifest years later, that it actually had happened. Now we move this story line up on blessing a little further, and we move into the latter part of Jacob's life when he's sick and he's getting near death. And his own son, Joseph, brings the grandsons, Manasseh and Ephraim, to, uh, to Jacob. And the same storyline occurs. Jacob lays his hand on Benjamin, the younger, and blesses him. Joseph is shocked, astounded at this event, and attempts to stop what had happened, but it was too late because Jacob had already declared a blessing that Jacob, Joseph, Benjamin, Ephraim, all of the participants, just as earlier, expected the blessing that was spoken to come forth, to manifest itself in the future in Benjamin's life. Now, I want to bring your attention to a passage out of the Bible. It is over in Numbers, and it is a passage involving the king of the Moabites as he looked at the Hebrews coming into his land, taking charge and control and conquering all the other lands. And this king, Balak, was appalled. He was in distress about the impending submission of his own land, his own people, to the Hebrews. And he called for a prophet to come forth and to bless. I apologize. He called for this prophet to curse the Hebrew people. And instead of cursing the Hebrew people, the prophet came along. It was over in Numbers 23rd chapter. And the prophet spoke a blessing. And the prophet, in responding to the king's request that the prophet Balaam reverse what had been done, declared, I can't undo what's been done. God has commanded me to bless, and he has blessed. You see that passage, Numbers 23:20. God has commanded me to bless, and he has blessed. That is crucial in our understanding about what comes out of this mouth of ours, what flows across our tongues. Because if we don't understand that we have the power, we have the authority, we have the grace and mercy, and we have the engrafted word flowing through us, flowing out of our bowels, and to declare these words, to speak these words, specifically with regard to our lives and the lives of our children, grandchildren, family, friends, circumstances that we face, mountains that are against us, then we do ourselves a disservice. You must speak and understand that what you speak, what you bless with your tongue, shall come to pass. So with that in mind, pay attention to further posts, because I tell you that this prayer circle, this prayer group, we are going to see some amazing, some marvelous, some magnificent manifestations of God's hand, of God's presence, of the Lord Jesus Christ doing the absolute most that we could ever expect to see or hear happen in our lives. God bless you, God keep you, and we'll be talking soon.